Hey guys, welcome back to AFK Journey. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the hero wish list, my personal opinions on what you might want to put on the wish list as a beginning player. Just keep in mind, these are my personal opinions. You may find other opinions out there, so make sure you go ahead and browse around. But for this one, I'm going to do my best to elaborate on these. Don't just look at a picture and just go, that's what you do, because there is nuance. I want to go through, firstly, characters that I think you definitely want one copy of at least, and then you can sort of swap them off the wish list because they're amazing at one copy, but the return on investment for leaving them on the wish list isn't as big. So there's a few things I want to go through. We're going to go through the epic wish list and the elite wish lists as well, and take a look at all this stuff. So let's start off. Let's kick it off with light bearers. Now, light bearers, actually, we're going to go through the one-off characters. We'll go through them all first from every faction. You definitely want one copy of Rowan. If you don't have a copy of Rowan, put him on your wish list until you get a copy. Absolutely amazing. Same with Smokey, but I think Smokey is valid for getting dupes as well. And same with Brutus. If you don't have a copy of Brutus, put Brutus on the wish list until you have a copy. Just keep in mind, 7-day login, we get a chest which can have the option of Rowan and Brutus in it. So you can pick one of those two up there if you still don't have them then. Now, moving on from that, we have Wilders. I think you definitely want a copy of Hewen. Hewen's just fantastic at a copy through the early game as well. I'm leaving her on my wish list, but you could have flex options there. And besides that, you also have over here in the Graveborn, I don't think there's a needed one copy. I think Thorin is just one you definitely want dupes of. So Brutus, Rowan, and the healers, you want at least one copy of all those characters because they can be really useful at one copy. All right, now let's go through the light bearer wish list. Like I said, one copy of Rowan, then I switch him off. If Vala was here, if Vala was an option on this wish list, I would have Vala in this last spot. But since they added her exclusive banner, they removed her from this wish list. If she comes back onto this wish list, she would be my one. But besides that, these are the two remaining heroes that I would put on this list. Honestly, I feel like light bearers have a lot of room for growth in their epic hero roster. That like as soon as we get a new epic hero, for Wilders, I mean, sorry, for light bearers, I feel like they're going to go straight on because she has niche use. These two both have niche use. Like, she can be really good in bosses from some of the stuff I've seen as well. But like, they're not like must haves, kind of like, you know, your Thorins, Eron for future investment, stuff like that. Light bearers is very flexible. But when we go into the elite heroes, I feel like light bearers is the easiest one to choose. You want Corrin, you want Merrilee. These two, just absolutely fantastic once you dupe them up for bossing especially, but also a little bit in campaign with Corrin and stuff like that. So those two, I feel like that's pretty much the set wish list for the light bearers. However, you can leave her off and just leave something like Rowan on and just get dupes of Rowan. I don't know what I'm personally going to do. Like, it's pretty flexible. All I know is you definitely want one copy of Rowan, and then the rest can be argued amongst people about what they think is better, but I don't think there's like a crippling mistake you can make in the epic heroes on light bearers, except if you put her in there, because I have not seen a good use for her yet. All right, so let's go back out of that and let's talk about Maulers. Now, Maulers, like I said, you want a copy of Brutus. After I get a copy of Brutus, I put Shakir on there. Now, some people may not like Shakir as much. I think I'm a bit biased towards this guy because I absolutely just love his design. But I think he's a great all-round unit. I just think he's very strong, and he's also like a great complementary unit to the Maulers in every aspect for towers and stuff like that. So I think he's a great unit. And then we have Smokey, who is just honestly a fantastic healer. Not only healer once you get him to exclusive equipment, and this is why you want to go dupes, then he starts dealing damage. He's just an all-round fantastic unit, and especially for early players, just a great unit to have in general and to dupe up as well. Then over here, I think Odie, for this wish list, Odie, 100%. You want to leave Odie on there. He is just so fantastic. Once he gets his exclusive equipment, he becomes an absolute savage everywhere. But he's just honestly great across the board in the game, especially once you get more investment. Now, this slot here, you can flex around. Now, you want a Kruger. You at least want a Kruger. Dupes maybe, but Kruger is going to be good, at least one copy of him to have defense shred against bosses in certain situations. That's Kruger's purpose. Now, more dupes means he can pseudo tank against bosses as well, but my personal opinion after playing through and getting a few copies of him on this account, I think I'm just going to swap him off once I get one. If I need more later on, I will. Then we have Antandra. Like I said, you do get a bunch of free copies of Antandra through progression missions, and she is quite a decent tank. Probably, in my opinion, like the best elite tank in the game. But I still think for me, Coco's a new unit, so I'm not 100% certain on this, but I think the support she brings and the sort of unique support that she has to offer in like boss battles of like making you not get one shot so that you can survive and deal damage longer. I do really like her supportive capabilities. So she's the one that I would put on the wish list after I get one copy of Kruger. Now Seth is actually a pretty good unit as well, but I feel like Maulers is just too hard to choose from. I think Odie is your no-brainer, and then you can argue the last spot as you like, but this is what I'm going to do after I get one copy of Kruger. Just leave that wish list like that. Then we go on to Wilders. Now Wilders is Brian is not bad early game, but I feel like he's not one you want to invest heavy in. So if you like him, you can go ahead, but I'm not going to put him on. Now, I have Iron and I have Huon here. I do believe you can slap Granny in here because Granny is a good unit, but I really want both of these two to have their exclusive equipment, and that's why I'm prioritizing, because I'm looking at Thorin as my main tank in the game, but Granny does definitely have tech usage later on as a good like PvP tank, campaign tank, like everywhere. So I do think Granny does have a position, but for me personally, because we only got the 2 spots, I wish I could give one of my Lightbearer spots to some of these other factions, but unfortunately Granny doesn't make the cut. Iron, once he gets his exclusive equipment, just to be able to group enemies at the very start of the battle is so huge, and Huon just has great support with their exclusive equipment as well, so I definitely want to leave those 2 in. As we look to the elites, now I currently have Leica. I'm kind of reconsidering this decision, and I'm thinking about putting Arden on. I think Arden is the one I would go for. Leica's really handy in the early game, but she does feel to fall off, whereas I think Arden just has a lot more sustainability usage through his added control that he brings. And Damien, once he gets his exclusive equipment, then he starts giving our team extra haste, which is fantastic for dealing damage, but also getting to our ultimates faster. So I think Damien is like a no-brainer in that one. He feels kind of like he feels really average until he gets his exclusive equipment, but then he does start to excel, and I think Arden is a good spot in there. But having one copy of Leica definitely for the early game is nice, but we're getting her from pre-registration, so don't really have to worry about that. Moving on from that, we go into Graveborn. Now Cecilia is one, like I said, we get a free copy of her. You can buy her from the shop. She's a new player's like best friend essentially. For me, once I get her to Mythic Plus, I'm going to take her off the wish list. She's so fantastic through campaign. She's great in early PvP. But she kind of like slips off a little bit in the later game. She's not like, she doesn't excel in bosses and stuff like that. So once I get her to Mythic Plus, I'm going to look at these 2 other options. Igor is good for troll PvP type stuff. You can do some silly games with Nero and stuff like that. But otherwise, I'm going to go for her because she has good control for PvP as well. So I don't know, these last 2 are kind of niche. She's a no-brainer for me until you get her to Mythic Plus. But then after that, I feel like I'm going to swap her off and probably put my wish list something like that. But yeah, just until Mythic Plus, that's what I leave here. Now over here in the elites, I think you have 2, like I feel like Viperian's a pretty safe option, but you have 3 options to put on this spot between Viperian, Niru, and also Sylvina. Now, I like running Viperian in here because I just think through campaign, if you're running Thorin and Cecilia, and then you run Viperian with them, he delays enemies' energy recovery, so he lets you win the ult battle, so I think he's absolutely fantastic in there. Nero, because you can play some fun games with him once you get his exclusive equipment up with immortalities and stuff like that, but then you can use Sylvina as well as like a back row sniper, but to back row snipe, she needs dupes, so you kind of got to go all in on Sylvina or just ignore her completely. And that's why I like Vala for that back row disruption type role, because Sylvina, if you don't get the dupes, like she's just going to go there and just commit suicide essentially. So that's what I'm going to put for my wish list over there. Now we jump into the epic recruitment wish list. Now essentially what we have here is I'm leaving, like Iron is here because like I said, I really want to get him to Mythic. Then we have Smokey here because like I said, he's a great healer all around and he just gets even better with his exclusive equipment. Cecilia until I get her to Mythic Plus, and then she'll be replaced. Shakir, because I'm personally biased towards this guy. And then Thorin. Thorin is the no-brainer that I think everyone should leave on here. He's just a great tank, and he just gets better the more dupes. I've still only pulled the 1 copy of him on this account, which kind of sucks, but that's where we're at. But the rest of these, you can kind of mix up between other units that you have on your wish list from your other factions. You know, you can put something like a Huon in there. She's honestly a great option. And anything else you're really focusing on, Huon is the main substitute that I would throw in here. Then the other things you're looking more at real later game units like Granny. You know, this is going to be another option, but It just depends, essentially. But like I said, I'm pretty happy with this wish list like this. You know, if I was someone who didn't like Shakira as much, I'd probably have it like this and be looking towards that kind of investment, and I'd feel pretty safe with that. But once again, once I get her up there, then I'd probably shift her out. Once I get her to Mythic Plus, I'd probably shift her out and do that. But that is my general thoughts around the wish list. No, that's not what I want to do. Okay, wait, did it change? Did it change? No, it didn't. Okay, we're good. Yeah, so that's my basic thoughts around wish list for newer accounts. And this is obviously going to evolve as we get new characters and everything like that. And I will update you guys as we get new characters, whether the wish list changes, whether new metas arise and stuff like that. But that is my thoughts for the global launch wish list. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.